Hola, clase. ¿Cómo están? Excelente. And welcome to another Friday on Learning with Senor Cow Cow. All right, let's go ahead and get started with your warm up for today. Today, the focus is going to be preterite or imperfect. Which one should you choose? Here it is. Translate by using the preterite or imperfect tenses correctly. And I can tell you, each one of these is going to have the preterite and the imperfect, but it's up to you to figure out which one it is and to use it correctly. Okay, so clase, por favor, saquen papel y practiquen. All right, number one. I used to go to the beach every year, but last year I went to Chicago. Yo iba a la playa todos los años, pero el año pasado fui a Chicago. Now, this is about the most cut and dry example I could make for showing the difference. The first part of the sentence is clearly saying used to, used to go. This is no specific moment. This is something that used to happen from time to time. I'm so sorry, I'm tired. And it says, but last year, that's our first clue. Last year this happened. So we know the time period, the closed start and stop of this time period. Last year, very specific. And then it says, I went to Chicago one time. So it's Yo iba a la playa todos los años, pero el año pasado fui a Chicago. As a child, I was very small. In 2005, I went to Disney World. De niño, yo era muy pequeño. Now, if you're a girl, that would all be A's. En 2005, fui a Disney World. Okay, so again, if you look for a moment here, there's nothing momentary about me describing myself as a child. De niño, yo era muy pequeño. As a child, I was very small. En 2005, fui a Disney World. In 2005, I went to Disney World. Again, if this is the time period, we know the start and stop of 2005. It's very simple. Okay, so that is preterite. It happened one time. Now, here is what we call an interrupting action. He was running when his dog ate his sandwich. Sorry about that. Él corría cuando su perro comió su sándwich. Estaba corriendo cuando su perro comió su sándwich. Either way, I would say out in the real world, I would more likely hear it the second way. You could even add él. Él estaba corriendo cuando su perro comió su sándwich. So again, here's the action that was ongoing. Over there in the background, he was running. This was happening. All of a sudden, bang, whoops, all of a sudden, bang, the dog ate his sandwich. It interrupted what was happening. And finally, we practiced last night. It was hot. Practicamos anoche. Hacía calor. So there's our sudden thing. We practiced, bang, and then hacía calor. We're now describing. Okay. Again, there's nothing sudden or momentary about saying it was hot. It's just background setting the scene. Practicamos anoche. Hacía calor. Okay. And there we go. Now, so that takes care of the warm up. Now, again, we already went over this even during this warm up. Preterite is used for sudden actions. They happen suddenly. It was over and done, one and done, completed, gone, finished. Um, the imperfect. Oh, and also the preterite. So that's two things. Number one, preterite, sudden, happened once. Number two, it took place in a closed, specific time period where, yes, we know the start and the stop. Yesterday, yes, very specific. Last week, yes, 7 days. Last year, yes, specific, 365 days. All the time, no, not specific. Back when I was a kid, no. Okay? And the imperfect is for things that were ongoing, things that used to happen, like every day or all the time. We would do this sort of thing. And it's also used to say things like telling the weather, like we did right here, hacía calor, or describing things, yo era muy pequeño, and so on. Okay. Now, I don't think that's easy. It's still, it could be kind of a tough thing, but it all comes with practice. So one thing we're going to do in class, for whoever's there today, it's going to be our first kind of new Friday, is I'm going to ask you about things in the past. For example, how would you describe? Oh yeah, I'm so tired. I'm sorry. Oh, it's been a very long day. I'm back. Anyway, so for example, describe your house when you were young. If I said, describe tu casa de niño, la casa que tenías de niño, descríbela. Mi casa era pequeña. Cuando yo era joven, de niño, mi casa era muy pequeña. No muy, muy pequeña, pero era una casa pequeña. De niño, ¿tenías un perro? Yo sí, yo tenía un perro. Mi perro se llamaba Barney. Mi perro se llamaba Barney. ¿Qué bebías de niño? Yo bebía high C fruit punch. Y yo, y yo bebía Coca-Cola. So there you go. Or what about this one? ¿Qué jugabas de niño? De niño yo jugaba Super Mario Brothers en el Nintendo. Yo jugaba Super Mario Brothers. Yo comía hamburguesas, bebía Coca-Cola, jugaba Super Mario Brothers. Excelente. Okay, now let's. Yesterday we went over one side of that worksheet, the imperfect side. Today we're going to look at the side that covers preterite and imperfect. Let's have a look. So write each situation in Spanish using either the preterite or imperfect. I ran yesterday. Yo corrí ayer. Happened one time. I always used to run. Siempre corría. Ongoing. What each one means in English. Fui a Nueva York. I went to New York once. Yo iba a New York, Nueva York. I used to go to New York. Or it could be I was going to New York. Okay, I was eating when she came in. Yo comía cuando ella entró. All right, again, we have this situation. I was eating. All of a sudden, she came in. Interrupted. It was hot when we arrived. Hacía calor cuando llegamos. This is what was going on in the background. It was a hot day. And then, boom, We arrived. When I was young, we went to Disney World in 2002. Cuando yo era joven, fuimos a Disney World en 2002. Back when I was young, there's your little background setup, and then boom, we went. I always used to drink water, but yesterday I drank Coke. Yo siempre bebía agua, pero ayer bebí Coca-Cola. Some places like I know some Mexicans refer to Coke as la Coca. Like if you go to a Mexican restaurant and say una Coca por favor, they'll bring you a Coke. Don't believe me? Find out. I bought the house when we were living in California. Yo compré la casa cuando vivíamos in California. Even better, I would say mientras. So that'd be more like while we were living. Yo compré la casa mientras vivíamos en California. Over in the background, we were living in California. What's our sudden action? Bam, I bought. Okay, now here's going to be the real challenge. I want to see how well we did on this part. If you've not done this part yet, I highly suggest that you do it now because this is where you truly have to figure out what does the sentence say and is it asking for a preterite or imperfect. And I'm going to tell you right now, every single time, every blank on this paper, ask yourself, was this a sudden action, yes or no? Okay, so go ahead, pause the video now if you haven't already done this. Okay. Cuando yo era niño, cada año en el mes de agosto. Oh my gosh, I hate this. Ah, I need a new mouse. Logitech, you've let me down. Okay. Cuando yo era niño, cada año en el mes de agosto, iba a visitar a mi abuelo. Él era viudo y vivía solo en un rancho lejos de mi casa. Yo siempre tenía que pasar 6 horas en el autobús para llegar a su casa. Me gustaba estar con él porque sabía mucho y me enseñaba muchas cosas de rancho. Yo siempre le ayudaba con los corrales y le daba de comer a los animales. So, I'll go and tell you everything in that first paragraph was imperfect. Why? Because every single one of these things is like an ongoing thing. Okay? There's nothing in this paragraph that was sudden. And I'll read it to you and show you why. When I was a child, every year in the month of August, I would go to visit my grandfather. He was widowed and he lived alone in a ranch far from my house. I always had to spend 6 hours on the bus in order to arrive at his house. I liked to be with him because he knew a lot, and he used to teach me many things about the ranch. I always used to help him with the corrals, and I would uh, feed the animals. Okay, so imagine this is something that says the very first sentence says each year. Every year this used to happen. Okay, the whole point of this story is showing how much the person enjoyed spending time with his grandfather every year when these things used to happen. Okay, now let's look at the second paragraph. It's going to be a little bit different. Un agosto, cuando yo tenía 8 años, pasó algo muy especial. Cuando yo llegué al rancho, mi abuelo me llevó al corral. Un caballo nuevo estaba allí. Era pequeño y negro y muy bonito. Y qué sorpresa. Mi abuelo me dijo, este caballo es para ti. Yo no sabía qué decir. Mi abuelo me ayudó a subir y él empezó a enseñarme a montar a caballo. Yo pasé todo el mes con mi caballo. Me divertí. All right. Now, the second paragraph, by contrast, most of these things are sudden actions. And first of all, it says 1 August, so we know the beginning and the end. That's a definite call for the preterite. 1 August, back when I was 8 years old. Again, here we see imperfect because being 8 years old is not something sudden. Turning 18 is 8. Turning 8 is a sudden thing. Having a birthday, even celebrating a birthday is a sudden thing, but being 8 years old is background. That's description. 1 August, back when I was 8 years old, and this is the part you would probably have trouble understanding. Pasar means to happen. So something very special happened. When I arrived to the ranch, my grandfather took me to the corral. So sudden things. I arrived. If I had to, I could say I arrived at 3:05 p.m. and my grandfather took me to the corral. In Spanish, you say that someone carried you. He carried me to the corral. He took me. A new horse was there. This is imperfect because we are describing background stuff. Okay? I didn't say the horse stood up. I didn't say he ran. I didn't say he ate something. I said he was there. There's nothing sudden about there being a horse in the background. Era pequeño. Oh, he was small and black and very pretty. And what a surprise! My grandfather told me, this horse is for you. I didn't know what to say. My grandfather helped me to mount the horse, and he began to show me how to ride a horse. I spent all month with my horse. I really had a lot of fun that summer. Okay, so hopefully that was some good practice for you. It's definitely a little bit higher level than just translation, and that's what it's all about with Spanish 3. It really is. Okay, now here is a little story that I wrote. Okay, I'll make sure I'm not showing the wrong screen here. Okay, good. Okay, now I made this, y'all, many years and many pounds ago. Look at that skinny guy. Woo! He's still in here somewhere. Okay, now this is a little story I wrote about me and my cats, and I want you to pay attention to things that are imperfect, that are either going on in the background or describing things, or preterite things that happened suddenly. All right, here we go. Anoche yo trabajaba cuando mi gata Kiki me dijo, Hola Adam, ¿cómo estás? Yo estaba muy sorprendido. Próximo, su hermano Coco corrió a la cocina y me dijo, Adam, tengo hambre. Yo estaba sorprendido otra vez. Yo estaba muy preocupado. Me pregunté, ¿Qué pasa con mis gatos? All right, let's look at that story again. Anoche yo trabajaba cuando. Last night I was working when. Okay, so here's our little background thing that was happening. Imagine I'm on a stage at a play, and I'm over in the background, and I was working. I was working when my cat Kiki said to me, "Hello, Adam, how are you?" She said to me, she said, sudden action, bang. She opened her mouth and out it came. Yo estaba muy sorprendido. I was very surprised. I'm describing how I was feeling. Next, her brother Coco ran to the kitchen and said to me, Adam, I'm hungry. I was surprised again. I was very worried. I asked myself, what's wrong with my cats? Okay, so again, here we are describing. I was feeling very worried. Here's a sudden thing. I wondered. I asked myself, what is going on with my cats? All right, here's something that happened once. This is from our real life. El año pasado, Matt y yo fuimos a Japón. Last year, Matt and I went to Japan. Happened more than once. Cuando yo era joven, mi familia y yo siempre íbamos a la playa. When I was young, my family and I always used to go to the beach. Okay, now here is something that I showed to my seventh period yesterday. This is very good. So as I said, the imperfect tense describes things and provides the background. The preterite tense advances the story with sudden actions. Now imagine I'm trying to set the scene here. I'm describing what was going on yesterday. Let's say I had a little walk around the park, and this is what I'm going to tell you about it. Yo tenía 10 años. Yo era bajo. Tenía hambre. Hacía mucho calor. Los niños jugaban en el parque. Now, here's what I'm talking about setting the scene. We're building, we're describing, telling you about things, but nothing is actually happening to move the story forward. I could stand here all day and go on and on describing. The grass was green, the sky was blue, it was about to rain. Describing, but nothing is actually happening. However, with the preterite, fui a mi casa y comí una hamburguesa. There we go. I went to my house and I ate a hamburger. Those were the sudden things that happened. Okay, now, let's see. All right, let me see how. Oh, and this is just showing different expressions, which we've gone over a million times. I don't need to keep going over that again. All right, let me see what kind of time we're on here. Okay, for the at-home people, I'm going to cut it off here and leave you with this. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Okay, if you go to tinyurl.com/cowcow pi preterite imperfect, and cowcow pi quiz 2. These are two really good little quizzes, and I'll show you. Watch this. When we put in the address, it goes here. So this is our practice. So basically, preterite or imperfect. So it says choose which form of the past tense, preterite or imperfect, works best in each sentence. You guys didn't go to the movies last Monday. And then it's got the sentence. Vosotros no blank al cine el lunes pasado. So you have to ask yourself, preterite or imperfect? Well, last Monday is a very specific time. That's a big hint. And we know that it happened once if it was last Monday. So the only answer is fuistes. We used to go there. Used to go. Is that something that happened just one time? No. So which one would it be? Fuimos or íbamos? Used to go, íbamos. And so on. So there's 10 questions, and you hit check answers, and it says that's right, you didn't choose an answer, etc. And if you type in the second one, it takes you to another 10. Okay. So that I think is plenty of practice for today. So take those two little quizzes and just see what you made. Okay. All right. Let me go back to me and we'll close it out here. All right. So hopefully you've had a good week. Hopefully you've learned something about the preterite and imperfect. They're very important. Again, if you are someone who wants to become a Spanish speaker, that's what you need to know. You need to be able to say uh, what happened. Right? If you saw something yesterday, if you want to describe it, if it's something you did once, if it's something that you did all the time, these are very, very common conversational daily things that you would say. Okay. All right. I will leave it there. I'll talk to you next time. Adios.